I'm Andy Simpson, owner of FASTSIGNS in Leeds. We've been open since October 1995.
Wow, so you must be one of the originals, like one of the...
We were the 10th, or the 9th and 10th open at the same time. So, yeah.
Okay, so you've been part of the fabric of FASTSIGNS for quite a while.
Yeah, it is really strange when you say 29 years. This just gone. So into our 30th year, yeah.
Wow.
It does sound a bit strange.
If you say it quick,
Yeah.
it's not so bad.
Yeah.
How have things changed over the last 30 years in terms of both signage but also business?
Well, the signage is mainly the technology. We didn't have full colour printers back in the 90s. It was all coloured vinyl, so all the signs were made up of coloured vinyl as opposed to print. So I gave an example earlier in the meeting where if someone wanted, say, 10 banners and say they had 3 or 4 colours on, each colour was laid down by hand separately. Now, we send it to the printer, set the printer going and walk out, and it prints until like 1 in the morning, and then you come back the next morning and they're printed. They still need finishing, but so yeah, the process of actually making signs has changed a lot. The technology is always changing. And in terms of business, I mean, the blend of clients and customers has not really changed much. It's still very similar types of clients. We do a lot in education, a lot with manufacturing companies. That hasn't really changed. The people who use a lot of signs and need a lot of signs are still the same types of companies. Yeah, but some of the products we do for them have changed because of the equipment we've got and the skills we've got in-house allow us to do different products, but the type of customers and the type of business is very similar, yeah.
So what are those types of products that are kind of newer?
I suppose the full colour printing is not new in terms of it. We didn't do it back in the early days. I suppose the types of products, we've just bought a laser engraver, a year ago, so that's allowed us now to do a lot more. We can do a lot more detailed signs. Laser engraving can do very fine, precise engraving of logos, and so we do a lot of nice door signs with that type of thing. So for the university, a door sign isn't a new product, but it's a new product we can provide to the customer, but also we can now give them the option of here's like product A and here's product B and here's product C, and and like here's gold, silver, bronze type options. So that some of the equipment, as you get new equipment, it allows you to up your game in terms of the quality. We could have bought those products in from trade suppliers before, but then you might be you're then marking that up. You can be more competitive if you do it in-house. And what you do when it's in-house, you play around and you try with things and you test things. So you start stretching the machine, what can it do, what can't it do. Whereas when you're buying it in, it's hard to do that. You're just relying on what the supplier tells you can do. So some things like we're starting to get more into vehicle wrapping, which we've never done in-house before, but my guys have, there's a supplier here today who came in and gave my guys training, so they're getting confident in that. So we used to sort of shy away a bit from vehicle wraps, but now we're doing it. So that's and it's like I say again, that's something that if we can do it in-house, it's we can be a bit more competitive, and you then learn what you can do and what you can't do, and you get more confident of being able to sell it, and so you start suggesting it more. Whereas in the past we just shied away from, we just suggested more simple vehicle graphics, not wrapping. So it's I suppose the one really different product to years ago is digital signage. So there was no digital screens years ago, and we're trying to sell that. More and more small businesses are buying them. It can be just a little, anything from a butcher's, a takeaway. Takeaways have had them for menus for quite a few years, but there's quite a few smaller businesses that are replacing poster cases with digital screens because they realise the advantage of being able to change the content overnight or at the flick of a button on the PC. So that's you're getting into the sort of AV type game, and it's away. We call them digital signs, but it's quite a lot different installing screens and connecting to the internet, and how do we connect, if you're in a shopping centre, can we connect to the Wi-Fi, will they let us plug a screen into their network? And so there's a lot of different challenges with digital signage. So yeah.
So would you say that's one of the key differences between customers now, the kind of changing things that they want compared to 30 years ago, or are there other things that you're seeing?
I think with the digital signage, the customers who are wanting that realise the importance of changing content and what they're advertising much quicker. Obviously, if you had a poster case, you'd have to get the poster printed, change it, buy another poster, change it. Now they can just log on to an online portal and change the content. So they can. I was just talking to a Greek Eros vendor in a shopping centre in Leeds, and the ability for him to advertise something different up until like 11 a.m, then change something till 2 p.m, then show something else at 3 till 6 p.m. is just great for him. And then what he'll do, he'll test a photo of one of the meal deals for a couple of days and see if that works, and then test another meal deal and say, wow, we got way more sales of that. So it's almost a bit like, say, testing your pay-per-click ads. He's testing what works well on the screen, and he can tweak it. And so customer, I suppose, I think more customers now realise the benefit of good signage and changing the content of the signage so people notice it. Because if you just have a poster in your window of a shop and leave it there for a month, people just stop reading it because it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So digital, you can obviously change the posters, but the digital screens mean they can change it regularly, and obviously have it flicking through different. So if you walk past 10 times in the day, you might see a different content every time you walk past. So more customers realise that they do need to show, if they've got a visible shop front, they can show more of the products and more of the offers and more of what they sell to passing traffic.
Okay, so in terms of, obviously you've worked on a lot of projects over the last 30 years. Have there been any standout ones that you've really enjoyed doing?
There's been a lot. We do quite a lot of work for Leeds United and Leeds Rhinos, and being a big fan of both, that's nice. And early this year, in January, we wrapped the inside of the main stand at Headingley Stadium, and that's really nice. You go to the games, you see what you've done. It was quite a challenging project. So especially for the time of year, outdoor, applying vinyl in January. Luckily the elements were fairly sympathetic to us, but I see that all the time because we go to the games. So and then you see them on TV. It's on Sky TV, and so. But then, we've done some really nice jobs at the Leeds University. Just rebranding a whole department with nice signage. When you go and see it, it's just I suppose sometimes the most challenging ones are the best ones, because you know how much sweat and tears have probably gone into it to make sure it all goes smoothly. We used to do quite a lot of work for Harvey Nicks when they first moved to Leeds, so then we'd do their window graphics, which were always quite a thing, their sale graphics. So there's been, that's the great thing about this industry. Someone was saying to me the other day, it's great, you can see what you supply. If you're a business coach or you're an accountant, you don't physically see. It's just, you can see if your client's been successful, but we physically see what for the most part, what we've installed. Like, I walk around Leeds and see lots of things we've done, and that's really satisfying. We did that. That's nice. And and over 30 years we've worked with some of the biggest companies in Leeds, so it is nice to know that they've trusted you to provide the signs and the projects, and you can physically see it. So that's one of the best things I like about you do see the fruits of the labour up in stars, if you like. And sometimes a sign is like the finishing touch. So someone has a new shop done, they have the shop fitters work day and night, sweating, blood and tears to get the shop fit all right, and then the sign goes up and the customer's like, wow, look at the sign. That's it's only the sign sort of thing, but it sort of finishes it, and so it's really nice when you work with a brand new business. It's great working with some of those big companies in Leeds, but you work with a new person who just say open the first hairdressers or the first tattoo studio. My cousin has just opened a deli and sandwich shop, and look, he's all over Instagram, so the sign's on Instagram every half an hour now. He opened this week, but it's great to see and they're in front of the sign with a picture, and they just absolutely beaming, you know. So it's really nice to work with new businesses as well. They're usually smaller projects, but you get a real sense of satisfaction from seeing a new business start.
Yeah, I can see your passion coming through for what you do.
Yeah.
What is it about the industry that still excites you after 30 years?
For me, I love meeting people, different people. So I love going out to premises and seeing and hearing about someone's business. So we work with quite a few food manufacturers. So I can go and see milk being, you know, go into the factory and you'll see them hundreds of thousands of 4-pint bottles ready to be delivered to Asda or Sainsbury's, or you can see, it's a bit like the that programme where I used to look through the, I suppose it's like in the factory now, yeah, and you saw how things were made.
Yeah.
So we get to see that a lot of the time, which is really interesting, you know, whether someone's making, you know, furniture or milk or soft drinks, or you go to a brewery, say a craft brewery, and I love my craft ale, so you go and see, you know, I go to Leeds United and behind the scenes, and we're doing things in the changing room or at Rhinos. It's just, you know, that's, you know, really exciting to go in and see behind the scenes, and then you have to learn a bit about their business, because you think, oh, it's just a sign, but sometimes you have to ask them, if you're putting a sign outside a business and they're usually wanting it to attract customers, you need to know what type of customers they're going to attract. You need to know there's lots of things that we have to ask them to find out about their business, which might affect the design of the sign or what's on the sign or the message on the sign. So yeah, you do have to probe a little bit so you get to know. But yeah, I just love meeting people. Then and then trying to solve the challenge and then installing the sign. And like I say, then you see them when the sign goes up. And I mean, I keep saying signs. A lot of what we do these days is like we call interior decor. So graphics on walls. We've just wrapped a change room at Yorkshire Cricket Ground. It looks stunning. The colours are just so bright. And seeing things like that come to fruition is just really satisfying. And but yeah, what really excites me is you can be seeing someone different every week. There's a new client. We got lots of regular customers, but lots of new clients. So you could be going to see a brand new company you've never seen before, an industry you've never, or a product you've never seen before. It could be something new, and it's just really interesting.
Yeah, so you've definitely got that job satisfaction that people chase.
Yeah. It's like I say, the fact that you can see the finished product is really what I love most about this.
Okay, so in terms of your business and your team, how many people have you got in your team?
We've got 11 full-time, a couple of part-time, so sort of 5 or 6 in sales, 6 in production and design. So a good team. 3 of them have been there over 20 years, another 3 over 10 years. So I mean, that's what's helped us get to where we are today. I think just having a good team.
Yeah.
That the business will run itself if I'm not there. And my father still works in the business, although he's trying to exit the business, but the business will run without us there because they've got so much experience. So it's having a good team really makes life a lot easier.
Yeah.
It's not just all on you, and we've tried to, look after staff over the years, keep good staff, reward them well if we're doing well, sharing the success if we get success, and that does help when you go on holiday. I mean, these days I still keep on top of emails because I don't want to come back to like 200 emails, but you do know someone else will just deal with something, anything's. Whatever's happening really, it will get done even if I'm not there. So that means you can relax a little bit on holiday.
Yeah, it's always good.
Yeah.
And in terms of the structure of the team, how did you build it? So how did you identify the right kind of people for your...
Well, I suppose like any franchise, they have a structure for the business. So you start with 3 people. We started with 3 people, like every FASTSIGNS does, and it then changes a little bit depending on the skills of the people and where you may be, and it can the type of customers can determine, are you heavy in the design side, the production side. So but basically it goes a bit step by step. You might get an extra salesperson, project business account manager, and then they get the business, so you then need someone else in production, then design gets busy, so you get a designer, then it's back to sales. So you sort of build one on the each. A lot of that is to do with the type of business you are doing, and that can slightly determine where you might take two fast signs turning over the same amount of business, but we might have an extra designer, they might have an extra production person, but might depend on the cross skills of those people, or that we do a lot of design for a lot of customers and they don't. That just evolves naturally, I think. There's only once probably where we took a gamble and employed a couple of people to try and jump up a level of sales. We've always tried to grow very steadily, and we have done over the years, so just a gradual increase in turnover year on year. But one time when probably after about 7 or 8 years, we took a gamble and said, let's go for this. It gives us some more ability to try and win some more business, and it worked out. We then filled the pipeline, and but generally it's just been, once everybody's running around at 100%, you think, right, we need someone else. And so but what's great with Fast Signs and being part of a franchise is that I can ring up Fast Signs in Manchester, in Kingston, in Hammersmith, in Dallas, and I do speak to some of the US franchisees and say, what do you think? I'm thinking of getting this type of person or that type of person. And so you've got lots of other examples to look at and see. Someone will tell you, I wouldn't have got a salesperson, I'd have got an account manager, I'd have got a designer first who can do a bit of production, or I'd have got a production person. So I mean, that's the other thing I really like about being part of Fast Signs, is all the people you meet at an event like today's franchise UK convention. You bounce ideas off each other all the time. So it's like being you are part of a bigger organisation, but even though we're our own business, it feels like you're part of a much bigger organisation. It's with all the advice you can get.
And that must have helped, because obviously over the last 30 years you've been through some economic challenges, shall we say, like the financial crash, the COVID things, the cost of living, all these things that have impacted businesses across the board. How have you weathered those storms?
I think we've got some great customers who are probably not. So something like food manufacturing, we've been lucky that whatever happens, people still need to eat, don't they? So, but we've had, and we do quite a lot with education. So schools, universities, they still have to operate in financial crisis or COVID or so. Some of our business mix has worked out well, is that they still needed signs and graphics. Maybe not as many, and some projects would be put on hold, but there'd be certain things they would still need, no matter what the health and safety signs in a manufacturing environment. If they put an extension on, they can't say, well, we're not having the fire exit signs, we're not having they need them because they're by law, they need to be displayed. So, and we've always offered great customer. We think we've offered great customer service. So we've built relationships with some big customers in Leeds that just regularly buy signs, and not always big projects. It can be small little signs, but just regular. So when times been hard, there'll be some people, new businesses, maybe not as many new businesses opening, but they're still ticking over buying the signs and graphics, and. Yeah, we've always just, like I said, I think one advantage of just growing steady is, when we started off, my father was a bit more pragmatic. I'm like, let's go and get to, $1 million turnover in no time at all. And he's like, well, cash is king, let's go steady and slowly. And so I think that's really helps, because we've never overextended ourselves with, buying equipment. And we have always tried to stay up with the latest equipment and the latest technology that Fast Signs recommend, and when we've been able to afford it, buy the new equipment, but never sort of overextended ourselves, so that when times were a bit hard, we've been able to cope with it. And sometimes when times are a little bit hard, you just refocus on your marketing efforts or your business planning, and which when you're busy you don't do. So it's and we're also I think fairly lucky that we started in '95, which was sort of a bit of a sort of the mid-90s. Leeds started. A lot of development came to Leeds. It suddenly became like the second financial centre outside London. Lots of financial companies came into Leeds. A lot of the areas of Leeds were redeveloped. And then for the last 30 years, there's just always been cranes up in Leeds and buildings. So if there's buildings going up, there's some signs needed, and that brings more people. There's more students in the city. That means there's more takeaways and more nightclubs and more bars. So I think it's been being in a big thriving city has helped. I mean, there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of the sign companies in Leeds. So, but I think we've it's just sticking to the basics, doing a lot of marketing. We've always done a lot of networking, and that just helps you ride. When times have been tough, you've been able to sort of just carry on going, and a lot of customers that it helps with a lot of regular customers that trust you to do the right thing. They don't, they still need signs even if times are tough. So. Sales have dipped when in like the recession and then in COVID, but we managed to get through all of them pretty unscathed.
And having the support of the network and the head office and obviously America as well.
I mean, it's sometimes it's when times are tough is when you really realise how much help you get. So particularly say when COVID hit, in no time at all, FASTSIGNS were organising weekly conference calls, and we could dial into both UK specific ones with the UK office. We dialed into the US ones, and they'd be sharing information. What's the latest? What's the latest rules? What's coming up? John and his team would keep an eye on that. They'd share that with us, and then if one, like we'd say, we've just done a nice job for a shopping centre because they need to get, they're going to allow people back into the shops. They need the floor graphics, and so we'd share that with the other people, and they could then go and target shopping centres in their area. So people sharing ideas when times are tough really helps. So the benefit of a franchise in when times are tough is invaluable, really.
Yeah, and obviously you've been part of the franchise network for a long time. And when we talk about support for franchisees, we obviously talk a lot about that initial when they're first starting.
Yeah.
How have you seen support change as your business has grown and as you've become a lot more established and mature?
Yeah, you don't need. Well, on one hand, you don't need quite as much support because you're, especially when you've got like 10, 12 staff. But I think for us it's more technical support, and so I've been speaking to the guys in Dallas recently because just about a new printer, a different type of printer, what do they recommend, so from a technical standpoint I think we need quite a lot of that because we're always looking what's the next piece of equipment we might need, and then I suppose a lot of these days how technical sort of marketing is, or at least the pay-per-click, the SEO side, and that's invaluable, the help of having someone like Hannah in the UK office, and she obviously works with the US marketing team. So when you've got questions about your keywords and your pay-per-click campaigns and what should we do, having that help, it's a bit more technical and than just general. We know that we need to be net marketing. We know to be networking. We know how to make signs. We know all that side of things. Which when you first start, you just go and teach me how to do it. Now it's just a bit more nuanced. The help we might need. I've just got like Rory in the office is helping me develop an online catalogue for one of our customers. Okay. And I could do it, but it just takes away the time. So Rory's doing the bulk of the legwork, and then I'm just helping, and that's really helpful. Whereas a new franchisee probably won't get stuck on that. They're just how do I win sales? Where more some of the technical stuff, or help with the marketing and it's hard to pinpoint, but we don't need as much help. But I do ask quite a lot of questions, and I'm always onto them, and But the great thing is, you sort of think, I can't remember what we said we'd do about keywords. Hannah, just remind me what conversation we had, and she'll say, yes, Andy, here you go. This is what we said. So it's changed quite a bit. I mean, we wouldn't have been with a franchise for 30 years if the support wasn't excellent.
It's true.
Some people say, well, at your turnover, you could just do this yourself. Well, I say, well, from the sort of website hosting, all the marketing analysis, the marketing data, the marketing insights that FASTSIGNS give us, the knowledge of all the other franchisees, you won't get that if you just Joe Bloggs sign company in Leeds. So, yeah, you wouldn't sign a new franchise agreement if the support wasn't good. The difference between a good and a bad franchise is what's the support like.
Yeah.
And the support from FASTSIGNS has always been excellent. So, it's invaluable, the support we get when we need it. And we get a new member of staff. I can just ask Emily or Rory to come in and do a day's training with them, and that just takes a big weight off my shoulders. So, get them up to speed. So.
Andy, what's the next big thing in signage?
Next big thing in signage. other than, I suppose the next big thing that we're seeing in the supplier showcase today is just some of the speed of printers, the durability of the prints that come off the printers, the range of colours that the printers can print to match customer specific Pantones. That's just advancing. I mean, the digital signage is still new for a lot of small businesses because it used to be quite expensive, and now it's, a lot of smaller businesses can afford digital signage. You'd like to think at some point 3D printing might affect signage, but it's not. It's not really. 3D letters are still handmade to a lot. There's still quite a lot of hand. You call them hand skills, or there's a lot of fabrication goes in by hand to a lot of signage. At the moment I can't see a total new change other than the speed printers can print means you can turn out more signs quicker. The durability and the colours, like I've already said, matching. The ability to those. If I go and finish seeing all the suppliers, I might come back and say I've just seen the future. I mean, luckily, I don't think signage. The high street isn't dead. No matter how many people buy online, people still love going shopping. So people will always need signs on the high street. And traditional signs. The signs might get fancier and new materials and look nicer, be more durable, but the signs have been around for thousands of years, hasn't they? And,
they have. Since
I think
the Egyptians.
still going to be around for a few more thousand years. So
you won't be, but final question, Andy. When you're not, walking around Leeds, admiring all the stuff that you've done,
signs,
and supporting Leeds, Rhinos, and football, what do you do in your spare time? Do you get much spare time?
It's easy with a big team to get. I still work fairly long hours, but I'd like to get up early and get up at 5ish and get on with some work before the team get into the office, and then. But I'm quite sporty myself. I love golf. I do a lot of road cycling, so I like getting out on the bike. And one of my sons plays rugby, so we watch a lot of rugby, and my other son is sort of in the wine and the spirits industry, so I also like wine and craft ale, so we go to a few sort of wine tasting events and things with him, so and relaxing with, socialising with friends, relaxing, going out walking with my wife, so just you got to have that balance. There's always times at the moment we're really busy, so working loads of hours. But then I've had quite a few holidays this year. We've been to Australia to see my son, who was travelling around Australia. Went to see him. So that's why I like work hard when you're not on holiday, then have a holiday and don't work so hard. I still work on holiday, but don't work so hard.
Yeah, actually relax and enjoy it.
Yeah. But I relax more if I've cleared some emails in the morning and just made sure things are ticking out, because and I saw someone post this on Instagram or something the other day, a guy in Leeds who's a bit of an entrepreneur, and he said he never used to get people working on holiday when he when he was in the army, but when he stopped, now he's got his own business, he knows why there's people on the pool on the phone, because he said he relaxed on a holiday more if he spent an hour just clearing some things off, making sure everything's okay. And so it's I don't want to come back to a massive inbox full of emails. So and then if you've done that, you can relax. But I do get told off a little bit by my wife if I'm by the pool. I've got the iPad on my lap. But so you got to find time to relax, because then the hard work. There's no point just working yourself into the ground. I mean, my sons are 20 and 22 now, so it's that. I used to I'd never miss rugby training, never miss football training, basketball training, whatever they were doing. I was always going to do that. I'd rather get up early work then, so I was available to go take them to rugby or football or whatever they were doing. But now they can drive, and there's not as much pressure on that. So I can do the longer hours now and not. But you've got to find time. You've got to get a bit of a work-life balance. But you're always going to work long hours if it's your own business and you're passionate about it. So.
Yeah. Andy, it's been really interesting. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Who's going to win the Autumn Nations?
Who's going to win the... I don't think it's going to be England, is it?
No, it's not.
Unfortunately. But,
not this year.
But not Australia. Don't let Simon say it's Australia. Okay.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.